focus for you guys, and what do you feel like you accomplished?
The off week, well, obviously it was refresh, recharge, mentally, physically for our players and the coaches to some degree. I mean, obviously we worked through the course of the week recruiting. All of our coaching staff members got out at some point, various points during the week of recruiting, which was great, to get eyes on guys, to see a lot of the guys that we've already currently got committed and recruiting, and other guys that we're still evaluating. So I think that was positive. And then from a football perspective of, kind of taking a inventory of what we've done well and what we need to improve on, looking at self-scouts. One of the things I spent some time doing this week, obviously, to get a better feel of what people are seeing when they play us. And that's something we always monitor, but obviously had a little bit more time to look at that. So various things that you use during bye weeks were all very beneficial for us.
No, you're not going to say to everybody what you saw, but was that really beneficial, that self-scout, that extra time? Like, what'd you gain from it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something we always keep track of during the week. So, at this point of the year, you're looking for just real, glaring red flags that an opponent might see, a formation, a back placement, a down and distance tendency, things of that nature that maybe help you, scheme some things that go against the flow of what you've shown to this point in the season.
Minnesota defense playing pretty well the last couple of weeks, only giving up, I think, 22 points in 2 games. So what are you seeing from that group?
Yeah, very similar to several of the defenses in our league. Just, the system's been in place there for a long time, several years now, and they're very systematic as a program, and just a lot of respect for the way they play. They're not overly complicated on defense, but they're just so well coached and so sound in their scheme, and they've got good players, and they play with a lot of confidence. It creates a really good defense, and that's what we're playing this week, and a tremendous challenge, especially going on the road.
Barry, what's key for you going forward if you are going in the fourth quarter with a lead, where you need to close that out and choose the clock at the same time?
Yeah, well, we got to score. That's the bottom line. Is our job is to score one more point than the other team, and we failed to do that the last time we had the ball out here in the fourth quarter. We didn't put any points up in the fourth quarter, and that's our job to do that. And so really, if you just peel it back, we move the ball, as far as, moved it out to midfield a little bit, had a couple of first downs in each of those drives, but we didn't score, and that's what we have to do.
I guess at this point, of the season with this 4-game stretch that ended this last quarter, it's like, how do you kind of evaluate where the offense is, maybe with limited, games left to put something in?
Yeah, we got, to your point, I mean, we're well through the season. We got a very critical 1-game stretch that's followed by 3 other 1-game stretches, down the finish line of the season. And I think the last couple of weeks, I think that we have competed and played better, but obviously we have not still hit that stride where we played a complete game from A to Z. Maryland was probably the closest thing that we did at that point during the season, and I thought we competed in spurts against Wisconsin, played pretty well at times, had some nice drives that we put together, but it just wasn't good enough. And so we're still striving and chasing that game where we put a four-quarter complete game where we don't disappear during quarters or lulls of the games, and play a consistent 4-quarter game. So, obviously we've talked a lot here on press conference days of, us not performing the way that we want to perform, not as well as we had hoped or desired or striving to, and that's something that's always a work in progress, and we believe, and we're going to work and plan and practice and prepare like this is the week that we're going to play our best, because we're going to need to.
Barry, when you do the self-scouting, where do you see yourself on explosive plays, like long 20, 30, 40-yard plays, because you rank really high in the league, and being able to get those? Yeah,
we've been more explosive to some, not to some degree, we have been. I don't know the exact number, but there's been a very big increase between last year and this year, but we haven't been able to sustain drives like we did last year. That's the kind of the flip side of that. So we've got to blend those together. We've got to blend a game that we have explosive plays. We all know what that means. I mean, statistically, like an explosive play and how it contributes to scoring drives. Like most all of our scoring drives this year have had an explosive play, whether either that or a defensive penalty. And that's usually a real formula for putting together a scoring drive. And so, I think we got good skill. I think our quarterbacks, used his legs to create explosive plays. we got to blend that together of execution and explosiveness, and that's how you get a really good performance.
Your offensive line seems to have taken a step the last couple weeks. What have you seen from that group, and how do you feel about them going into?
Yeah, I think they for sure have, and I think that they've answered the challenge in that regard. We're running the ball better. I thought the last 2 weeks we've run the ball pretty well in Big Ten play. We're going to have to do it again this week. These guys are very stingy against the run. I've seen guys I think rise up to the challenge and know that that we whether it's through the how the games have unfolded through a scheme or a lack of calling in at times. I think our guys took a direct challenge on running the football the last couple of weeks and have answered that challenge. Our backs have had a lot to do with that as well, and tight ends. It's been a group effort, but that's something obviously as you go into November in the Big Ten, you have to be able to run the football to have a chance to win these games, and certainly that's something we're going to have to do on Saturday as well.
Coach, how has Luke Altmaier kind of processed what he's seen of his play on film, and what are some steps he took during the bye week to get better?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had a few different practices. A lot of our ones that had opportunity, our first guys, it was a lot of mental work, and a lot of film work, and a lot of individual work during the course of the week. And but I think what you see in him is he continues to get more and more comfortable at being our quarterback, and I think he competes at a really high level. And he's given us everything he's got during game days, and certainly gives us that during the week of prep. And once again, there's always going to be this, but when you're making decisions in a college system, there's going to be, if you run 70 plays, you're going to make 60 decisions, or 50, whatever. There's very few plays where it's direct run and it's mindless, and we're going to give the ball no matter what. And so there's always going to be those 4 or 5 questions, or 4 or 5 plays that, man, we wish we could have done this better. And he's constantly learning from those. But the way he competed against Wisconsin gave us a chance. The way he used his legs. And then we've got to be able to continue to make the routine plays on a routine basis, and that's the last step there that he's got to take, because I really like where he's at.
Your last 2 games, Caden was kind of able to establish himself in that lead back role. So what does the run game look like? Maybe with Reggie, I guess I was right about this, but Reggie potentially being back involved in that.
Yeah, it shouldn't look any different, right? I mean, our run game, the schemes that we've been using was no different, or have been no different than they were earlier during the year. Now we're using a little bit more 12 personnel lately. That's probably that would be the one difference, probably schematically. So the schemes have not really changed. I just think that it's, for whatever reason, and falls on my shoulders, is that it just took us a while to find our stride in the run game, and we had some, just some inconsistencies there with maybe the lineup, maybe how we were approaching it, back health up and down. So I think now that we've established a better rhythm, I think every back that we get back that's healthy can only help contribute to that.
Isaiah had a relatively quiet game against Wisconsin. How can you get him back to a key producer?
Well, we got to be intentional about it, and certainly, in the fourth quarter, last week, to your point, the whole game was fairly quiet. Had a harder time getting the ball, didn't make as many attempts to gain the ball. Part of that was the fact that the way we were controlling the line of scrimmage and we're running the ball more effectively. Felt like to a large degree that we were in control of the game, and our run game was keeping us on a rhythm that where we were third and manageable, third and short a lot during the course of the game. So we didn't lean on the slot passing game as much as we have in some other opportunities, but that's something that obviously he has got to touch the ball multiple times for us to be effective on offense, and that's my job to make sure that happens, and there's a lot of different ways that we can do that.
Barry, there was a lot of preseason talk about red zone and how much you guys were repping that and working that, and looking at it now, there's a 25% increase from last year to get 6 points when you get in there. I know there's drives where you wanted to finish it off, but are you seeing that preseason emphasis has been paying off?
Yeah, I think it has been. I think our players are playing well down there, and I feel confident. I think they feel confident in the plan, and things are being called down there. I think we've done a nice job on that. Something obviously that's got to continue, a trend that's got to continue for us is when you get in there, you need touchdowns, not field goals. We just got to get down there more, and then maintain our level of execution that we'd be able to have at times to get those touchdowns, because it's hard. Defenses in this league are stingy, and when you get down there, a lot of bend to not break mentality down there, especially against these guys, and makes it a little harder to get in. And last year, that was one of the things against last year that was, difficult against, in the Minnesota game in particular, is that, we kicked a lot of field goals in that game. They did a really nice job in the red zone. We didn't execute as well. That'll be a big factor this week for us to continue, to get down there more often. And if we can continue our execution down there, that'd be a really positive thing for us.
Coach, in your career, have you used the open week to kind of tweak some things, maybe do some things you hadn't done to this point? And then was that the case this last week?
Yeah, I think you always are looking for tweaks, little different spins. I think, as long as your personnel is steady and healthy and there's not been a big, changeover in that regard, which we haven't, been fortunate, we've been fortunate to not have to face that. I'm talking about quarterback changes and health issues across, then that's when you really probably have historically tweaked in a major way, kind of change some things that you're doing, maybe more wildcat or things like that in that nature. But really, to your point, it's really more about the tweaks. It's the little bitty details, a different formation, maybe a different place for the back, a different route complement to go along with the things that you've been doing the course of the year. So, yeah, we certainly have tweaked some things. I don't know to the naked eye if it'll be noticeable, but obviously when you in the trenches and you're battling with opposing defensive coaches, some things that we think that can help our offense down the stretch.
Obviously, we don't get to see the all 22, but is getting separation an issue right now? And if so, how do you help improve that?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's an issue. I mean, we're getting a lot of man coverage, have the last couple weeks, and I think we've won our fair share of battles there. A lot of contested catches. Our guys have continued to do a really nice job this year of making contested catches across the board, wide receivers and tight ends alike. And, this team's not as much of a man team, although they do play man, and I would anticipate seeing a fair share amount of that because, we have been running the ball a little bit more effectively. But, part of that is scheme. You've got to design plays to get people separation, movement, stacks, bunches, different alignments for the receivers and that type of thing. And then you have to, one-on-one's the best you're going to get, and you got to learn how to throw and catch, and not learn how to, but you got to, efficiently do that in those situations when it's one-on-one. You've got to be able to protect, you got to be able to throw, you got to be able to catch, and when we've done all three of those things at one time, we've been pretty good. And what we can't do is have a breakdown, miss the throw, maybe give up an edge on the protection, or maybe not finish the route, in the right way. So really, it's really a simple game when you display it and talk about it like that, but it can also be complicated. It's tough because they're trying to stop you, and so we got to continue to do a good job and a better job of getting our guys, creating our guys open spaces to work in.
Coach, kind of an off-topic, big picture question, but how you feeling about the quarterback position long-term here and the depth that you've built at the position?
Well, I feel good about it. I mean, obviously, John is the only quarterback that we anticipate, not anticipate him leaving. I mean, he's going to be leaving. His eligibility is going to be up at the end of the year. And he's been a great addition for maturity and for wisdom and for depth. And he's played well when he's played this season, have full confidence in him. And like where Donovan and Cal and Kirkland are at, obviously we got an incoming freshman coming in the class to be a part of that. And so I feel like we're in a good position. We're relatively young there at the position, and I don't think that's a bad thing in any means. But I liked what I saw from our guys last week in the open date. All three of those guys that are returning, including Jacob Huber's on our roster. I thought all three of those guys showed some moments last week of really nice plays during the time they got a chance to play, and really was really excited to see where Donovan was, and I thought he threw the ball really well last week.
Question about a pass quarterback. Did you see Tommy's debut yesterday in Giants?
I did. We were, working, game planning, and somebody knocked on the door. I think Pat Pearson said, "Hey, I know you're, in the middle of the game, and like you might just want to click it on." And Tommy's about to go in. And of course, I think a lot of people in the hallway where we were working were kind of watching the game in the background just a little bit for a few minutes, watching, encouraging him, pulling for him. Obviously they came up, a little bit short, but I think everybody in the building probably had a sense of, man, this is really probably a real special moment for Tommy's in his home, backyard, getting to play, scored a touchdown in the NFL, and obviously we're really pulling for him. We're super proud of the competitor that he is, and I think that's something. Hopefully he's going to be in that league for a long time because of the way he carries himself.
All good, guys?